My name is Victoria Storrs, and I'm the chair of the Town of Bethlehem Industrial Development Agency, also known as the Agency. I would like to introduce the following members of the agency who are attending this public hearing as well. From left to right, we have Tim Benicia, David Cadera, Catherine Hedgeman, and Richard Kotlow. Thank you all for being here as well. Today we are holding this public hearing to allow citizens to make a statement for the record relating to the involvement of the agency with a project, the proposed project, for the benefit of the Albany Port District Commission, a New York State public benefit corporation, which we'll refer to as the APDC. Many of you understand them to be the Port of Albany, and it's one and the same. This public hearing is required under Section 859A of the General Municipal Law. The purpose of the public hearing is to solicit public comment on the proposed project. The comments received today will be presented to the members of the agency at our next meeting, which is currently scheduled to be held later this evening, immediately following the closing of this public hearing. That meeting is open to the general public and anticipated to be held in room 101, a little bit across the hall. I would like to note that no decisions or votes pertaining to the proposed project will be taken by the agency at this meeting. Before we open the public hearing to the floor for comments, I want to provide some introductory information that will, first, introduce the proposed project, second, describe the financial assistance requested by the APDC, third, state the legal authorization and powers of the agency, state the purpose of this public hearing and the activities that have led to it, and read any written comments that we have received. At the end of the introductory remarks, the agency will invite the APDC to share a brief presentation describing the proposed project. So, introduction. The proposed project consists of the following: the acquisition of an interest in 2 parcels of land in the aggregate of approximately 81 acres located on Port Road South and east of River Road, south of the Norman's Kill and north of the PSEG property in the town of Bethlehem, Albany County. Collectively, these parcels are known as the land. The project also includes the construction on the land of 4 buildings containing in the aggregate approximately 560,000 square feet of space, a bridge, related parking, and various infrastructure improvements, collectively referred to as the facility, and also the acquisition and installation therein of related fixtures, machinery, equipment, and other tangible personal property. The land, the facility, and the equipment collectively are referred to as the project facility. And all of them will constitute an industrial and manufacturing facility that the APDC, owned by the APDC and operated by a joint venture third-party operator as a wind tower manufacturing and shipping facility, and any other directly and indirectly related activities. I would note here that this project is part of New York State's general offshore wind initiative within the region and within the state. The project also includes the granting of certain potential financial assistance within the meaning of Section 854.14 of the Act with respect to the project, including potential exemptions from certain sales and use taxes. We refer to this as the financial assistance, and also the lease with an obligation to purchase or sale of the project facility to the APDC or such other persons as may be designated. Item number 2, the amount of financial assistance being considered by the agency. In the application, the APDC has represented the following: that the proposed project is a major development undertaking that will benefit the Capital District and represents the commitment and policy of the state of New York in encouraging and incentivizing the development of the offshore renewable energy industry in New York State. and the structuring of the undertaking and of the proposed project through the agency will assist the APDC in achieving the proposed project's timeline and budget. The estimated costs of the proposed project are equal to $235,213,646 as recorded in the application, and the estimated amount of the financial assistance being considered by the agency is a construction material sales tax exemption estimated at $853,000. Note that the APDC is not requesting any financial assistance from the agency in the form of an exemption from any mortgage recording tax or exemptions from real property taxes, which would typically take the form of a pilot. Those are not being requested by the APDC in connection with this project. Finally, under the IDA documents, we want to note that the APDC will be subject to recapture the financial assistance upon the occurrence of certain recapture events. Examples of such events include the failure to complete the proposed project and make the potential investment, the promised investment. Item number 3, the legal authorization and powers of the agency. Provision of Chapter 1039 of the Laws of 1969 of New York, constituting Title I of Article 18A of General Municipal Law, Chapter 24 of the Consolidated Laws of New York as amended, and Chapter 582 of the 1973 Laws of the State of New York also as amended and codified as Section 909B, collectively referred to as the Act, authorize the agency to promote, develop, encourage, and assist in the acquiring, constructing, reconstructing, improvement, maintaining, and equipping, and furnishing of manufacturing, warehousing, research, and commercial and industrial facilities, among others. So for the purpose of this public hearing, prior to the agencies providing any financial assistance in excess of $100,000, we must, among other things, hold a public hearing pursuant to the Act. Since the proposed financial assistance requested by the agency with respect to the proposed project may exceed and is anticipated to exceed this $100,000, then prior to providing any financial assistance, we must hold a public hearing. After consideration of the application received from the APDC, the members of the agency adopted a resolution on September 24th, 2021, authorizing the agency to conduct this public hearing with respect to the proposed project under the Act. Just very quickly, by way of background, notice of this public hearing was published on September 28th, 2021 in the Times-Union, a newspaper of general circulation. In addition, as required by New York law, the notice of this public hearing was mailed on September 28th to the town supervisor of the town of Bethlehem, the chief executive officers of Albany County, and the superintendent and Board of Education president of the Bethlehem Central School District. Lastly, copies of the public hearing notice were posted on the agency's website and on a public bulletin board located at the Bethlehem Town Hall right here at 445 Delaware Avenue. Now, unless there is any objection, I am going to suggest waiving the full reading of the notice of this public hearing and instead request that the full text of the notice of the public hearing be inserted into the record of this public hearing. I'd also like to note that the comments received today at this public hearing will be presented to the members of the agency at or prior to the meeting occurring just after, and then later at a subsequent meeting where we will consider whether to approve undertaking of the proposed project and the granting of the financial assistance. As noted, the agency currently intends to consider the comments received this evening at a special meeting to be held immediately following this public hearing in room 101. The notice of this public hearing indicated that written comments should be addressed to our executive director and agency counsel, Tom Connolly. We have not received written comments prior to this hearing to be included in the public record. This ends my introduction to my introductory remarks, and I invite the Albany Port District Commission to share a brief presentation with the public who are here and who may be watching on the recorded webcast.
Good evening. I'm Christine Studo, the CFO for the Port of Albany, and I have. Good evening, Christine Studo from the Port of Albany. I'm also accompanied by Patrick Jordan, our General Counsel, and Richard Hendricks, our CEO. I just wanted to give, again, the board of the agency and any members of the public that are here a slight overview of the Port of Albany. It's a year-round international seaport located on the upper Hudson River, approximately 124 nautical miles north of the Battery of New York Harbor. We have 400 acres in the city of Albany, the city of Rensselaer, and the town of Bethlehem. Our primary maritime cargo presently is heavy lift, molasses, scrap iron, wood pulp, power equipment, and wind power. We currently have $350 million expansion underway, which is what we have brought to the Bethlehem IDA for assistance in our timeline and our sales tax exemption. We have, at the port now, we have 25 tenants leasing commercial property. We have 35% of our revenue is dedicated to the maritime operations, and we are also undergoing a $50 million maritime improvement plan through MARAD, which is the federal DOT organization. We are a member of the Green Marine Program, which is very important to us, and these improvements fall into 6 areas, which are aquatic invasive species, greenhouse gases and air pollutants, spill prevention, environmental leadership, community impacts, and recycling. The Port of Albany has a great impact on the whole capital region. We have $80+ million in wages and benefits paid by tenants of the APTDC annually, 1,400 local jobs and 4,500 jobs throughout New York State, $813 million measurable impact on New York State economy overall, and a $428 million measurable impact on regional economy in terms of output. Our mission is to have power over the survey, development, control, and operation of port facilities with a view to the furtherance of commerce and industries in the district. And our vision is to the governmental entity charged with operating the Port of Albany is governed by a 5-member board of commissioners who in 2016 directed a growth strategy and market assessment and a 2018 update that recommended growing the port's land size to create new economic development opportunities. And that's what brought us to buy the land in the town of Bethlehem. I have this PowerPoint to be handed out to anybody here, and we have several pictures of what the land looks like now and what the proposed site will look like when it's completed. This site will be the first offshore wind tower manufacturing facility in the United States. They plan to produce components for the Empire Wind and Beacon Wind projects. Again, as we stated, it's over $350 million investment, including grants from New York State, NYSERDA, and ESD, the Empire State Development Corporation. The $5 million ESD grant goes towards the acquisition, engineering, infrastructure of the construction. So our timeline for this project, 2018, we made the acquisition of the property. Between 2018 and 2020, we did due diligence, seeker, generic and environmental impact statement, and permitting with the Town of Bethlehem Planning Board. 2021, NYSERDA, New York State Offshore Wind, made their announcement. And during 2021, we're doing the site plan and the permitting, with hopes in 2022 to 2023 have the construction, and in 2024 have full operation of the wind tower manufacturing plant. The Port of Albany continues to have a diversity for Minority and Women Business Development, or MWBE. And we also use prevailing wages in all our construction projects. We are very concerned about the environmental justice components of this project, and we are working with local community-based workforce and training. We also are involved in the City of Albany Youth Engagement Program. And we participate and have set goals for the SDVOB, which is the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Businesses. Our IDA application, we hope to have further our partnership with the town of Bethlehem, and specifically the Bethlehem IDA. We are looking for a straight lease transaction, and with also $853,000 in sales tax benefit. Also, partnering with the Bethlehem IDA will help our project construction timelines and efficiencies. I want to thank you for the time to present this, and look forward to working with you more.
I would also like to note for the record that on behalf of the Albany Port District Commission, in addition to Christine Studo, the Chief Financial Officer, we have Rick Hendricks, the Chief Executive, and Patrick Jordan, their counsel, and they have their representation from Hodgson Russ here as well. I would like to ask that a PDF or PowerPoint of the presentation, which has some very helpful visuals in it, be incorporated into the record of this public hearing, and we will ask the port to provide that to incorporate. We are receiving paper copies as well. So thank you, Christine. Let's now move forward with the public comment period and public hearing. I will now open this public hearing for public comments at, I read it as 4:51 p.m. on today, October 13th, 2021. By way of operating rules, if you wish to make a public comment, please raise your hand and I will call you up to the microphone and ask that you state your name and address for the record. We ask that you keep comments to 3 minutes or fewer so that all those present may have a chance to comment for the record. And if your comments mirror those of someone who has already spoken, you may indicate that and relinquish your time to the next speaker. When everyone who wishes has had an opportunity to speak, I will conclude the public hearing. A record of this public hearing will be prepared and reviewed by members of the agency in connection with our review of the proposed project. Again, the purpose of this public hearing is to solicit public comment, and we are not here to answer questions. However, we will, in the course of this hearing, consider questions if we have the information to answer them and there is sufficient time to consider the questions. So I now ask, is there anyone attending this public hearing who wishes to comment on either the nature and location of the project facility or the proposed financial assistance being contemplated by the agency? In addition to the team from the port, this is a fairly lightly attended public meeting. I still do wish to allow at least a couple of minutes for any members of the public to consider their thoughts and speak if they so desire. This is just about 5 minutes. There's no indication that anyone present here this evening wishes to provide public comments on the proposed project to the agency. So if there are, in fact, no comments this evening, before closing the public hearing, I will first ask the representatives of the APDC if they have any additional comments. They are shaking their heads no. Excuse me? Thank you, Rick. Had any comments been received at this public hearing, they would be included in the official record of the agency. The fact that no comments were presented, either written or through this forum, will also be recorded and will be part of our consideration of the project. Further, the meeting at which the agency will formally consider the comments regarding this or in this case, the fact that we do not have any comments at this time, we will consider that when we meet just after in room 101 at our special meeting, which, as we've noted, is open to the public like all IDA meetings. So I will now close this public hearing at 4:56 p.m. today, Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. And I thank you all for attending.